welcome to everyone that's joining us today. Hopefully, towards the end, I think we have about 10 people on the session today. So what I will do is that if there's specific questions, I'm happy to unmute people if you want to discuss anything or if you have anything. But if it's just a general question, feel free to put it in Q&A. And like Sarah said, she will answer that. So let's get started. First and foremost, I need to share my screen with you. This is going to be like a demo tutorial kind of thing. I'll be tapping on things and showing you features and possibilities and so on, linking it to learning and potential in the classroom as well. But before we kind of get started, let me just kind of, you should be able to see my screen now. If I kind of just start off first and foremost about myself. So I'm an educator in the UK. I've been in education for nearly 25 years now, high school science teacher. Started off as, and then senior leadership team for many years. And then beyond that, I was also the principal and the CEO of a multi-academy trust, which is a group of schools in the UK. Last 4 years or so, I've been very busy working with schools in many different parts of the world, kind of developing digital strategy, thinking about assessment, feedback, and so on. And certainly during lockdown, it's been an extremely busy year as schools have kind of really ventured into this idea of using technology, digital classrooms, hybrid learning, and so on. I'm also the founder of a primary school as well. So I'm the chair of the board for that school. Therefore, that kind of gives me a lot of insight into primary schools as well. But I'm happy to have a conversation with people if they want to know specifically about themselves. My email's there. Feel free to get in touch with me, drop me an email. I'm more than happy to have conversations directly as well. So let's kind of get started. First and foremost, let's kind of look at something called workflow. So I define workflow as the approach to kind of teaching and learning that we are normally used to doing in the classroom. So this question, how do teachers share subject knowledge? We, as educators, we kind of know that very well. We've done it in a variety of different ways over the years. Quite often, it's just been about standing at the front, speaking to the students, writing on the board, showing PowerPoints and keynotes or videos and so on as well. Or even looking at textbooks. Actually, the opportunity when we begin to use technology can go beyond that. Okay, so now, as we have seen, and many teachers have had to jump to things like whiteboarding tools that can be used remotely, things like Google Slides, things like Keynote in its collaborative mode, Zoom conferencing. There's been a variety of different ways in which we can do that now. Showbie also provides this, and I'm going to kind of do a bit of a I'll kind of show you how this works with Showbie as well. And then questions 2 and 3 are actually quite key. And I think when schools went into lockdown, this was the questions that actually people were trying to solve. And many schools kind of went into using different tools and different platforms to try and solve this problem. This is something Showbie's been doing for a very long time. I know when I was a senior leader, and we used to use this in my secondary school, and it was something that was kind of bread and butter of the organization. But the moment we move to a process that allows us to send digital as well as analog, and this is really important, okay? So I'm not just talking about digital kind of videos and documents and, Word, PowerPoint, so on, but also handwritten things. It's important. Many countries, children are still writing pen to paper. They still need to, they still have books and so on. And one of the things that Showbie does do is it allows you to submit handwritten documents, and it allows teachers to kind of give feedback on top of that, which is question 4. How do teachers give feedback? And feedback is an integral part of the way in which teaching and learning happens. In fact, good feedback has probably some of the biggest impact in terms of student outcomes. So the ability to have different ways of giving feedback is actually pretty powerful. And that's one thing that Showbie does excel at, and we'll look at examples and ways in which that can happen as well. And finally, we don't just want that feedback to be one way. We want students to respond back as well. And in a lot of my work building digital strategies with school, number 5 was actually quite key, that we want to see students responding back to feedback. So the age-old question, I wrote something, I gave feedback in the book, but the student hasn't responded to it. The student didn't do anything about it. Actually, from a digital workflow perspective, Showbie does simplify that. So this whole process needs to be defined in any school. Whether you're using Showbie or not, this has to be clearly defined. If all teachers in the school understand this and students understand this, then it builds a degree of consistency. And consistency then leads to the potential of a school, having a consistently good approach to teaching and learning. So this is what we're going to kind of focus on today. Actually, if I just kind of go straight into Showbie now, I'm showing you this on my iPad through the iPad app. Actually, Showbie can be used on a web browser as well. So you can fire up a web browser. Most of the things that I'm about to show you are completely compatible, and there are schools and teachers that only use Showbie on the browser and not on the iPad. The iPad has a camera on the back, so Showbie kind of makes use of those features that are physically built into the iPad. So that's something that I'll point out as we go along. So let's get into this. So this is the Showbie app. I'm just gonna tap on that, and before I kind of start diving into it, I'm just going to give you like an overview of the main screen. So on the main screen, it looks pretty much exactly the same on the web browser as well. But on the left hand side, we have a whole bunch of classes, and mine is kind of very messy because I've been working with different schools in different countries, different parts of the world. So we do a lot of kind of work with senior leadership teams, getting them to understand workflow, so they come on and I make classes with them. But primary schools are using this, high schools are also using this as well. If I show you a couple of real classes, so this one here, where you see my mouse moving, is actually a real class. And you can see that in this school, so everybody's using Showbie, they have a naming system. So they have the 8 is grade 8, MB might be the initials of the teacher, and then there's a 7 there, no idea what that stands for. Maybe it's class 7, because I think this school is particularly large. And then MA just kind of signifies that it's a maths class, okay? And if I tap on this and I go into this, you'll find that then the teacher, this is completely customizable. The teacher then has added folders, different colors. In this particular school, they work in cycles. So you have cycle 1, cycle 2, cycle 3. Each cycle is, I think it's about 8 weeks or 9 weeks old. And the students know exactly where everything is kept. And if we then go into a cycle, we then end up with all the content for each week that's kind of available and so on. And I'm going to kind of go into the workings of a class after this. I can see assignments that the students have kind of submitted and so on as a teacher. And so on. So it's very easy to organize this. One of the best things, and it probably makes sense for me to mention this at this time of the year. So this teacher, whoever this teacher is in their class, when she's ready to kind of prepare for the next year, she can actually duplicate this whole class. So all her resources, all her planning, everything gets automatically duplicated. No need to kind of go and look for resources. She can go and tweak things, but actually she can completely duplicate the whole class, and she's able to kind of very easily go into this copy class thing and duplicate the class. So that saves huge amounts of time in terms of preparing for the new year. And most teachers that use Showbie do that as well. But it's kind of pretty simple to set up a class. There's a wrench icon at the top, and you simply choose new class. So if I tap on new class, it's going to ask me for a name. And if I was to just kind of say, let's just say Abdul's maths class, although I'm a scientist, but anyway, we'll just tap that in. You can call that whatever you want. If you're using this across the school, then how you name the classes becomes quite important for students, for parents, for teachers. And that's, if you want to know more about that, then I'm happy to kind of speak to you about it. The way you name classes in high schools might be different to the way in which you name them in secondary schools. If you're doing the GCSE kind of curriculum, that's different from the American curriculum and the IB curriculum and so on. But you have complete flexibility in how you name classes as well. One of the things that you'll see here is there's the option to add a class code. Yeah. Now, class code it's not an option. It kind of pops up automatically. And when you've got a class code, this is the code that the students will put into their kind of Showbie app or onto the Showbie website, whatever it is that they're using. And this is the thing that allows them then to automatically join your class. So one thing that's really great about Showbie is you don't really need any technical involvement. You don't need technicians to set up servers, Active Directories, and all this kind of stuff. The teacher is in control. You can easily set up a class, okay? Very, very easily, you just give that class code out and people can join your class. And that's actually pretty simple to do, because if I just jump to this slide, this is the way that you would join the class. And if you want to, I'm going to set this class up in a minute. If you want to, absolutely feel free. Open the browser, go to showbie.com, and there's an option there to sign up for a free account or to sign up. And then when you do sign up, just choose student, because in this instant, you're going to be a student. You don't have to do this, by the way, if you don't want to, but if you do, I'll be able to see you in a minute in the class and you'll be able to interact with me. But you can go to sign up and go to I'm a student. And then when it asks you, then as soon as you've chosen I'm a student, it then gives you the option to sign up with username. Don't choose Google, just choose sign up with username for now. And then here, you just fill this in. Don't bother putting your email in. That's just simple. Username, make one up, put about 10 numbers after it. Showbie has about 3 million users across the world. So if a username's taken, it will tell you. So I normally say to people, just put your initials in and about 6 random numbers and make up a username, and whatever password you want, put that in. Then it's going to ask for a class code, right? And then this is where you would put the class code in. Right. And it's as simple as that. It's a one-time thing that you do when you first set up your class. Once you've done that, for the rest of the year, you're in my class. And my ability to interact with you becomes actually quite easy to do. So feel free to take a screenshot of this or anything like that. If you want to kind of have a go at playing with this and doing it, you could use your phone and use the web browser. You've got an iPad, download the app and do it. If you want to just do it very quickly, just go on your browser, just type in showbie.com, and you'll be able to kind of choose sign up as a new teacher or sign up as new. And then you'll be able to go ahead and just follow this procedure. But let's kind of go back to Showbie. By the way, and when it does ask you for the code, this is the code 66Y2V. Sarah, if you can just take a note of that. In case anybody gets stuck, you can just go into Q&A and ask Sarah, and she can give you this code, and you'll be able to join my class, okay? But the other thing that you can do with class codes as well, if I click on it, I do have like this additional security layer whereby I can actually leave it open. That means anyone with a code can just join my class, which is what I'm going to leave it on. I can change it to approval. That means that even if you've got a code, I still have to approve you. You can't just join. Or I can close it, and that means even if you have a code, that's it. No one else is joining my class. Of course, once the class has started, you can actually change it at any time. So maybe halfway through the year, I'm not going to leave it open anymore. I'm just going to go to close. Or maybe towards the end of the year, I don't mind if other students join my class. then I'm going to leave it open and they can join my class as well. So that's kind of pretty simple. Anyway, hit the save button. It does have a portfolio section, so you can, and students can save their best work, coursework, assessments, anything that you wish, whatever system you're using, you can have all the portfolio work in one place. And then you can switch on parent access. Parent access is really interesting in Showbie. It gives them transparency on their phones, on their devices. They can't comment on the teacher's work. They can't comment on the students' work, so there's no interference, if you want, from that way. But it does give them a lot of transparency, and they can basically see and hear all the stuff that's going on in the classroom, which actually makes for a very different conversation based on some of the things that you will see in a moment. So I think that's kind of quite key, and I think that's important to understand moving forward. Some things. So let's just kind of hit the save button here. And if I just hit the save button here, that will have just created my class. I just go here. There is Abdul's maths class. And this is my class. Now, we're in the class and you'll see that in my class, it's pretty blank. There's nothing there. Whereas when we saw the maths class here, this grade 8 class, you'll see that there's assignments, there's folders, there's all these different things. So you actually get the opportunity to have a very blank class. And then, as the yellow button suggests at the top, you can click on the spanner button, and now you can begin to add folders. So if I wanted to add a folder, I could just give it a title. And let's just say if we were going to look at maths, or not maths, let's just look at a subsection. Create or multiplication. Let's do multiplication. Okay. And if I did this, I can choose whatever folder I want. And let's just choose red, and I hit the save button. And there we are. It's kind of created a folder, and I can create as many folders as I want, so I can keep things organized. Now, if I want to, I can add an assignment. So let's add a new assignment. This is really interesting because when you add assignments, like teachers can do this well in advance. And this is something that actually Showbie teachers come back with and say they're kind of quite happy with, because if we go to title, let's just look at multiplying. So this is a specific assignment by 11, all right? And there's a due date on this assignment. I can change the due date to whatever I want, okay? Let's move it to Monday, the 26th, okay? Now, what I can also do is, this is writable. I can actually lock it. That means that I can add things, but the students cannot go in and attempt anything. And that's actually really powerful. So as teachers, I could actually begin to plan all my stuff for September if I wanted to, put my assignments in, and I'm going to lock it, and students won't be able to go in or do anything. And then I can set a schedule, and I could make it read-only, and my read-only date is going to be a bit later. Maybe I'll put it for the 29th, and then I'm going to save that. So now look, it will automatically set to read only. That means they'll be able to go in, see the documents, watch videos, look at any resources and so on, but they can't add anything. They can't complete anything. And then if I wanted to, I could just make it editable. And again, let's choose a later date than that. Say, for example, on the 31st, it's going to become writable. And then what you'll see is it will automatically lock, it will automatically unlock, view only, and become editable as well. So, and you can remove that schedule as well. This is kind of really nice because it's kind of like planning everything without worrying about the fact that will students be able to, will they go in and complete everything even before the lesson has started, okay? So, brilliant, we've got 2 students in the class, right? Now that I've put an assignment in, you are now in my class, okay? So this is great. And what you'll see here, so we'll do some interaction. Every class has something called shared items. So if I click on shared items, so this is me as a teacher, Alicia cannot see Jerry, Jerry cannot see Alicia, okay? So this creates a really nice one-to-one kind of environment. However, if I want to interact with the whole class, I can just go to shared items and I can write a comment. So I can say, Okay, let's do welcome to the class. Okay. And I'm just going to say, which subject do you teach? And let's do where are you from? Okay, let's do that. And then I just hit the post button. Here we are, post. And now that, because it's in shared items, that's gone to everyone. Okay, so I'm going to say, Alicia, Jerry, have a go at answering that question. You'll see this, write a comment box at the top. And all you need to do is go in there, and immediately I can see this interaction. So look, I can see Alicia sent me something because this blue line's popped up and I've not seen it. So actually this makes it very usable right in the classroom. Okay, so right from within the classroom, quite often I might be teaching something, but I'll have Showbie on, but students that might be shy, that might not want to put their hands up, I can kind of see that engagement, right? I can see Jerry's just responded as well. And let me, if I just click on Alicia now, let's just have a look. Okay, and maths and Derby. Okay, right, I've been to Derby. That's in the UK for anyone that's not kind of from the UK. Let's have a look at Jerry. There we are, computer science, and in New York. Oh my God, right here. And I'm actually sat in Dubai at the moment. So truly an international audience. And Sarah's in Edmonton in Canada. So we are really spread around the globe. So here we are. This is kind of great. What I can do now, I can interact with shared items was with everyone. Okay. I can do a shared items and just have a group. So if I click on everyone, let's say I had 30 students here, I can select none, just click on the few that I want to kind of send something to, and then whatever I put here goes to everyone. But I can also now begin to kind of, you know, have a one-to-one. So if now I want to just speak to Alicia and nobody else, I could now add a variety of different things here. One thing that I can do is I can give Alicia a task, and I'm going to do something really simple. I'm going to say to Alicia, okay, I'm going to scan a piece of work. And I've got my daughter's English book with me, so bear with me. And it's got this really nice scan feature in here. So I can take this book. This is the death of photocopiers, by the way. You get Showbie in your schools and photocopying drops by like 70-odd%. And that's kind of measured and so on. So I've just done a scan and it's asking me this very critical question. Do I want to add this as document or individual items? I'm just going to do add as document. And what it will do is that it's going to upload, it's going to kind of glue both of those images together, turn it into a PDF and upload it without telling us any of that or asking for file names or where do you want to save it and all that kind of stuff, right? So Alicia will have this right now. And this is really great. Alicia, I want you to mess around with this. So tap on it, play with it, kind of scribble all over it, do whatever you want, mess about with the buttons at the top. I could have done this in shared items. So in shared items, if I would have done scan, this would have gone to everyone. With Jerry, I'm going to send him something a little bit different. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to do, now, this is the distinction between iPad and browser, by the way. On iPad has this record screen technology built into it. So if I was to tap record screen here, my screen actually begins to record and a little camera thing pops up at the top and it records me speaking and I can annotate and draw, and it's fantastic for giving feedback, explanations, modeling new ideas, drawing over keynotes and so on. Unfortunately, I can't demonstrate that because it's going to conflict with Zoom. However, if I just go to new document here and I'm just going to do this and I'm going to say, something to Dan's strength potentially, learning how to code, right? And let's just say, for example, I'm going to just choose a blank document. And I've got a variety of different kind of options, everything from music sheets to doc to all sorts. I can choose different line spacing and all that kind of stuff. I can add multiple pages. I'm just going to add a blank page, and I do create. I realize this has got nothing to do with multiplying by 11 now, by the way, but it's just a blank document that you've got as well now, Jerry. So feel free to tap on that and kind of annotate and write and draw, maybe do a few lines of code for us or something, but absolutely feel free to do that. So I can see that whilst I've been doing that, Alicia has been busy and she's now submitted something to me. So let's go and see what Alicia's done. So here we are. And if I'm going to tap on this, there we are. She's actually annotated this. She's put some notes here. And so on. There's some writing and highlighting and all this kind of stuff. The annotation tools are pretty fantastic in this, right? And obviously you can do this on a browser as well. Some browsers work better than others. Google Chrome is a really good one. This kind of works very, very well. One button I will bring your attention to is this one. This is the voice note button. Now, I did try and do this before, but again, it conflicts with the microphone. So what I did, I actually did a little demo and recorded it to show you. So I'm just gonna play this. So watch this, right? If I just do this, let me just, oh, hang on. Here, and let me just play this, watch. There we are. So look, it's like a book. There's the button, I'm tapping on that. Now I tap anywhere else, it turns into this voice note thing, and I can speak and give feedback.
Great piece of work. I really love your writing. However, there are some spelling, punctuation, and grammar mistakes. Please, can you correct those?
Okay, and then that's it. That is digitized verbal feedback. I can overlay it on anything, right? It could be a Word document. It could be whatever I want it to be. I can rename it. If I'm working with younger children, I could even use emojis and put emojis on and so on. But the beauty of digitized feedback is becoming really, really powerful. I've actually published a paper on this in the Chartered College, which has been kind of circulated around a few places, and I've kind of done impact studies on this in a variety. The amount of time that it can reduce in terms of teachers marking books and so on. But where this gets powerful is when students actually respond back. Verbally as well, right? What's also nice here is I can now also annotate on this. So I can highlight something. I can do things like this, put a circle here, and then I could put a voice note within that circle, and they would kind of hear that and so on. What's quite interesting here is this, watch. This button here is a layering tool, and I can switch off annotations. I can switch off everything that Alicia put on. I can switch off everything that I put on. Now, there have been some very clever teachers who have shown me that they do moderation in this way. You know, when they're checking each other's work to see have I awarded the right thing. So because you can add multiple teachers in Showbie, they would then switch off the other teachers' markings, and then they would mark, and then they would switch it on, and then you can compare and contrast. Very clever and quite useful to be able to do that. Okay, I'm just going to hit the done button here, and that's the equivalent of kind of saving it with all the annotations. Jerry submitted something here as well. There we are. Yeah, he's done a bit of HTML there for us, and I can kind of mark this and give feedback as well. One other thing that I think that's quite useful, I'm just going to go to shared items. I'm going to tap on the plus icon, and I'm going to go into import file. Now, Showbie works alongside Teams, Office 365, it works alongside Google and Google Classroom. I mean, the school that I co-founded uses Google Classroom, and of course, there they also kind of, you know, this is used alongside that, because if I just show you this, you can pick up files from Google or from OneDrive and whatever. So a lot of schools still have that infrastructure. They store things on there and so on, the resources and everything else. And then you can upload whatever resource you have in there up here. And Showbie is kind of very much focused on assessment and feedback more than anything else, and you actually get a really good feel for that. So most schools that are using Showbie will still have a Google or Microsoft infrastructure, but they're using this really for assessment and feedback, and that becomes really powerful. Okay, so I'm gonna do something else here now. If I tap on the plus icon, again, I've got a voice note option as well. I'm not going to click on it because it will conflict with Zoom, but I could just hit the voice note and just speak and give you instructions verbally, okay, which will be really powerful and time saving. So if I was to just say, in fact, I could kind of just use the microphone button. Let's see if, no, actually that might not work. Let me just type it out. I won't take any risks. Okay. On the document below, please highlight. Here's a test for you guys. Perth in Australia. Where do you think it is? Okay. Place a cross. I can just hear you opening up Google Maps now and having a look. But anyway, feel free to have a go. Place a cross where you think it is, right? That's simple. And post, right? So I'm going to show you something here now. So I've just posted this one resource, and because it's in shared items, it's gone to Alicia and Jerry. They will have tapped on it. They will annotate on here. Any annotations I make as a teacher, they will both get them, but they are probably annotating here and so on. And once they hit the done button, I should see a blue line popping up here. There you go. Jerry's done that. I'll wait for Alicia to do hers as well. And then I'll show you a feature that is massively time saving, right? So watch this. If I just go to Alicia now, and Alicia, here you are. And if I just click on this, right, so you can imagine this could have gone to 30 students, right? And 30 students have now kind of done this. And I'm just going to do this in the simplest of forms. I can just tick this and kind of say almost, it's kind of here, but yeah, I'm going to give it a tick. I'm feeling generous today. But this is where it gets interesting. I want to mark the next student's work, right? And if I bring your attention to the top left and click on this, I would now see a full class list, okay? So I just click on the next student and it automatically brings up the next student's work that they've submitted. Gone are the days of opening books at the right page and all this kind of stuff. Bang on, Jerry, fantastic, right? And so on. And then I would just click on the next arrow and then the next students would come up and so on. And what's also nice, if there's multiple pages, it does it longitudinally. So you mark page 1 for everyone and then page 2 for everyone, and you kind of get to compare that as well. So I think that's kind of a really neat feature and really quite powerful. I could have also gone, if I go back to Alicia's, there's this little circle here with the box, and I can actually grade it as well. So because you're fantastic students, I'm just going to give you 10. Some teachers or schools are even using emojis, okay, and they'll put a red dot or a blue dot or a green dot. I mean, depending on the type of school that you're from. If you're working with younger children, you can absolutely do that. Older students, obviously, you know, you might not want to do that. You can write a comment and so on, and exactly the same with Jerry. You can kind of give this grade, and what you'll notice is that here, if I give the grade, boom, that's done. And if I just hit the done button, right, you can see the grades have populated here, okay? And I can now also export the grades. So if you're using different LMSs and systems, you've got all these different ways in which you can export stuff, and then you're kind of good to go. It will just connect with any system that you've got. Now, a couple of other things as well that I should mention, I'm kind of conscious of time as well, is that I'm just going to go back, and that was our kind of assignment, and it wasn't in this folder, right? It wasn't in this folder. Now, obviously, that was not multiplying by 11. I can always change that. If I was to right-click on this, I can move the assignment, and I can move it into the multiplication folder, so it's kind of there, right? So usually when teachers have finished with assignments, they put them in the folder, or if you've got other folders that you want to put together, then, you know, you can do other things in there. So I might do like an assessment thing. Some of you might have heard of something called Socrative, right? So Socrative is something that was bought out by Showbie. Okay, so if I just go into assessment, you can see it looks blank. Hold on a minute. Can I go here? Let me just go into here, assessment. Okay, and if I add a new assignment, okay, and I'll just put assessment 1, right? And we're going to have a go at this. So this, and what you'll notice when I create a new assignment, automatically the students are in there. Like there's no need to sign up again. It automatically knows who's in this class and gives you that. So I'm going to do something quite interesting now. Watch this, right? Go to shared items. I'm going to go to plus, and I'm going to use something called Socrative. Now, you might not know this. You might already know what Socrative is. It's an assessment, formative, summative assessment tool. But actually, Socrative was brought out by Showbie, right? And it's now integrated into here as well. So if I go to quiz, although this is not about Socrative, I'm going to choose a room. That's a process that I have to do when I'm using Socrative. So if I was to just choose something, let me just choose one that is not connected. I'll choose this one. Okay. And it's can't. Okay, now watch this. So Socrative allows me to make quizzes. There's a separate session that I'm doing next week on Socrative. So I'm not going to go into the details of how I've done it, but all these quizzes were made in Socrative. And I'm just going to fire this one up. I'm going to hit next. Socrative allows me to kind of deliver quizzes in different ways. So self-paced, which is open navigation, teacher-paced, or instant feedback. I'll just do instant feedback. I'm going to shuffle questions. So if you're sat in the same room or you're messaging one another, you can't kind of see, you know, what each of you are getting for question 1. And I'm going to hit the start button, right? Now, this quiz is going to launch like that on your screen. So I would like you to tap on that, okay? And you'll see questions that will start popping up. And I just want you to have a go at answering them. Try and get some wrong as well, so I can know that. So I can see immediately, look, like Jerry is present here, Alicia is present here. If I want to hide their names, and if I've got this projecting up on a big screen and I'm in class, then hey, I can do that. I can hide the results as well, right? So they can't tell from one another because I know my screen is being shared at the moment, right? But what I can see is actually, look, I can see the progress at which things are being completed, right? And I can see who's not complete. I can definitely see engagement levels. This has been fantastic during lockdown. If you're getting prepared for a new year, you don't know whether it's going to be, you know, COVID, not COVID, lockdown, hybrid, you know, governments are uncertain. Showbie kind of takes care of all of that, those kinds of uncertainties. But what I can also see at the bottom here is the percentage pass rate. So this is good for me as a teacher, right? If I've got 25 kids in the class and I'm only getting a 50% pass rate, that tells me half the class is actually getting this wrong and they don't understand it. Okay, so this allows me to kind of do a quick quiz. If I want to hit the finish button, I can hit finish and it will just end. If I want to show responses, but without anybody knowing what's right and wrong, and if I want to show results, I can do that as well, and it will kind of color code it for me. It doesn't stop there, right? There's a lot more that this does, but you can imagine if this is happening across a school, this will be kind of pretty powerful. If I'm going to hit the finish button here, watch. Okay, and let's finish this activity. Everybody's completed. What it then does is a number of things that actually normally would have taken me a long time to do. The quiz has ended. There's these 3 dots here. If I click on it, number 1, if I just click on the distribute scores, it automatically populates the scores for me, right? Brilliant. Really useful. And then I can export this. And the other thing that it does is it actually distributes reports. So if I tap on reports, here we go. It's now creating an individual report for everyone in my class automatically, right? Which is brilliant for us when it comes to assessments, brilliant for parents to be able to see, brilliant for you to go back and reflect, brilliant for students to be able to kind of recall things and so on. So if I just go to Alicia now, And obviously everyone's just going to get their own. And you'll see there's Alicia's report. And it will tell you, you know, what you got wrong, what you got right, and so on. I can annotate this as well. So I could annotate with a voice note on this and say, hey, Alicia, you know, why did you think this was the case, and so on. You can add weightings on this as well. So how much is each question mark? You can annotate the dots afterwards as well, the grades and so on. So all of that is possible. And if we just go to Jerry's, yeah, you can kind of see the percentage score on the top right with their name and so on. And here you are, you've kind of got all of that. So that assessment, formative, summative assessment element is kind of built into this, which is really powerful. Okay, folks, we've got about 15 minutes left and I want to leave some time for questions. So I'm just going to point out a few things to you. I'm just going to show you a few things now, right? Alicia, Jerry, thank you so much for taking part in this. I'm sure it's been really useful for other people to kind of see as well. If I wanted to, I could just hit this video chat button here, start chat, and I would literally be doing a video face-to-face chat with Jerry, right? So video chat is built into this. It's not like an additional cost or anything like that. It's actually built into Showbie. So fantastic, right? You can just bring up, I want to chat with you. Let's just have a quick 5 minutes. Students can't enable it. Only teachers can. So it's super good to make that happen. Oh, one other thing I might need your help for, guys, before you kind of move on. If I just go back to assessment and back to the class, there is something called class discussion. So you might need to just navigate yourself to class discussion by going backwards. If I go to class discussion, this is typically paused. If I allow students to post, then this is where we can actually have a discussion, right? So what's the weather like where you are, right? And let me just OCD. And if I hit post, right, you guys can start discussing and posting things on here and so on, and it becomes like a whole class discussion kind of thing. Yeah. Oh, okay. I bet you can't beat me though. It's 40 degrees Celsius in the evening, right? Not in the vending, in the evening. Okay, and I can hit post and there we are, you can do that. But obviously it's not just about text, that you can literally, if you're using an iPad, you can use your camera stuff. If you're using a laptop, you can upload videos, you can add voice notes, you can import files, you can do a whole variety of different things and continue the learning conversation here as well, which is kind of quite a useful and powerful thing to do as well. Couple of other things. If I just go back, I'm going to show you one that I did earlier with, actually this was with another school. Here we are in this class, and by the way, these are dummy classes. But if I just bring up Dominic here, and let me just go down because I did the screen recording stuff that's possible. So here, watch this. If I just play this, right? So it's recording the screen, and what's nice about it is the
this is now recording. If I tap on this document now, I can very, very easily
and all of that.
just move this to the side. I can now mark and give feedback as I'm going along. So I can say, hey, this isn't correct. What do you mean by this? Can you do this part again? And so on. So I'm giving kind of feedback as I'm going along, as I'm marking. And as soon as I hit
assessment, right, feedback, formative feedback, summative feedback, but allowing us to use digital tools and to be able to do this in a much more efficient manner. You can move the corner window to the video to different corners. You can kind of, you know, make it full screen. You can turn it around and so on. That's an iPad feature at the moment because it's built into iPad, but I kind of wanted to just show you that as well. The other thing, let me just kind of go back to our class. Where are we? Here we are. And if I just go into discussions, class discussion, what you'll notice here, there's a video chat icon again. Now in class discussion, if I hit the video chat button, I now begin I can start a video chat with the whole class. So up to 50 people, I could be speaking to you. It's now got breakout rooms as well built into this and so on. but hey, you know, it's kind of right within here. There's no need to send kind of Zoom links and codes and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to hit the start chat button. If I did, like the videos would just, it will just tell you to join this class and so on as well. So that's been a really useful feature. It's got a bunch of activity things as well. So if you've got like 20 odd classes, it will tell you like who's done what and who's posted what, and you can kind of go directly there. You can manage by class, by group, by assignment, all that kind of stuff. So you might not want to get everybody's notifications, but you might just want specific ones, so you can manage all of that here as well. And finally, before we move on to questions, in the sidebar here, so I clicked on this sidebar thing right here, there's groups. So groups allow you to create teams of people, right? So we have, for example, teachers that might be in the senior leadership team, and I can add them into the group, and I can start chatting with them. I can start speaking with them. I can do a video chat with them as well, with teams of people, which is kind of really powerful. I can upload all the usual resources in Showbie that it allows you to do that. We also have a Showbie Certified Educators program. Google it, join it, have a go at some of the modules that are on there. But we have teachers in different places, and they have their conversations and things like that on there as well. You can add parents if you wanted just a parents group. You can add parents in here and make it announcement only, so they can't post anything, but you can post things on there, right? And you can announce things, whether it's voice or whatever it is and so on. Massively useful for things. You can switch off parents, so parents can't join, or switch them on, or just students, and switch off announcements so everybody can post. It's entirely up to you how you do that. But groups is a really good feature. You might have just groups of maths teachers, for example, in this case, sharing their resources, and then you can use those resources and copy them into Showbie elsewhere, and into a different class and so on. That's all absolutely possible as well. So really feature rich. I think we've kind of covered most of the aspects of here. Just so that you know, there's parental engagement as well. So you can actually go into a class. If we went into our class, I can just kind of go into settings, and I can, not settings, sorry. I'm going to here, go to class members, and I can go into students, and there's a QR code functionality as well. So if you've got young ones and you want to kind of get QR codes for each of them, then it will kind of make you QR codes that the students can join with very, very easily. There you go, a little printout, and then you give the QR codes to the kids, and it's very easy for them to kind of join. You can also, if I click on Alicia, for example, here, I can change her password. If I forgot her password, I can kind of manage that very easily. I don't need to go to the IT department or anything like that. And then if I want to, I can invite Alicia's parents. It will automatically make a printable handout for them. I can do like a bulk processing of the students as well, but the handout looks something like this, with the student's name, the teacher's name, the school's name. It's got a unique code for the parent, and it tells them how they can join, right? And that way they can hear the teacher's feedback, they can see all the stuff that Alicia has been doing in school. What's also really interesting is you can, if I was to go back one, where am I? Okay, here we are. The other thing that you can do is you can join a class as well. If I was to go to class members here, if I go into teachers, at the moment you can see there's just me in the class, but you can add multiple teachers into a class, and then those teachers can annotate, mark feedback. If you've got teaching assistants, if you're collaborating, if you're working with one Showbie school and another Showbie school in a different time zone, and you want the classes to merge and you want them to do like an international project, that's also possible. Really good kind of examples of that as well. So I'm going to stop there. We have 7 minutes left. If you have questions, I'd love for you to kind of ask them. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Let's kind of see if there are questions. What I will do with people that are in the room, I'll just make sure that you have the ability to speak. So I'm just enabling allow to talk for people. So feel free to unmute, ask questions. More than happy to kind of take questions. I'll give you a bit of an uncomfortable silence. Okay. Oh, Jerry?
Hello?
Hi, Jerry.
Yes, I wanted to know, as far as, hello?
Yes, Jerry,
Okay.
I can hear you.
No, okay, I'm just having trouble here with my microphone. But with Showbie, is that something recommended? Do you recommend, like, I see that Socrative, that seems like a great tool for assessment. Is that something that, is that like an additional cost for licensing?
So you can have Socrative on its own. Yeah, you can have Socrative on its own. But Showbie and Socrative most of the time does get bundled together as well. But if you wanted just Socrative, then that's fine. That's something that you can get as well.
Okay. And with the another question, yeah, that makes sense. Another question for users or schools that use Google, and you know, our students all have Google accounts. Is it not recommended to have them use their like Google login?
Yeah, you can. There's a single sign-on with Google. We work with Google very closely. There's a lot of schools that started off with Google and using Google Classroom. Then they kind of saw opportunities to do more. So they've still got their Google accounts and they're still using, you know, their Google emails, calendars, Drive, and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to assessment and feedback, they use their Google accounts to sign into Showbie. So that single sign-on is absolutely possible.
Is possible. Okay, great.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anybody else? Any other questions? You're welcome, Mesa. Okay, well, in that case, we will stop there. I hope this was useful. Thank you for Nisha and Jerry for taking part. I'm sure that was really useful for people to see it actually in action. And wherever you may be, wherever you're joining us from, I hope very much that you, especially if you're going on vacation, like a lot of schools are, then I hope you have a restful break and a wonderful start to the new year. Thank you very much.